Hey guys, welcome to another edition of The Watch Collector. My name's Ollie. Today we're going to be looking at a brand called Sartory Billard, which I've been fortunate enough to have get my hands on a few occasions previously, and they make some pretty sexy watches. That's the spoiler alert for now. But before we get to the specific piece that I'm going to be looking at today, of course the obligatory wristwatch check, and today I'm wearing the Laurent Ferrier Sport Auto with blue opaline dial. So the piece that we're looking at is a super limited, 1 of 10, Sartory Billard SB07. Now, it won't take any points for guessing what's the standout feature of this piece. And of course it is this really rather striking, almost, am I allowed to say Tiffany blue dial? I've just said it anyway, on this stainless steel sports watch. It is phenomenal. Striking is just not the word. This is eye-catching and on another level, which of course Sartory Billard are very well known for. We know about their Mackie E very special finish, which is also on another model of their SB05 in limited run. But this one has got at the center of the dial a hammered textured finish to give that added a bit of depth when you're looking at it, and reflects the light in a way that really is quite sexy. And then surrounding it on the outside of the dial, you've got really quite cute tracking, which has been 3D printed on top of it. And I love the way you've got stick markers interspersed with Y markers for your indication of the time around the dial. Really very nicely thought out, laid out. It's one of those where it could be busy in terms of the textures and the finishes, but actually it's not. In my view, it works very well. Of course, you've got Superluminova, that's present and correct. And what I really appreciate about Sartory Billard is I think they know how to let the dial do the talking, and so that the name of the brand doesn't overtake what they're trying to achieve. Certainly that's in relation to the Mackie E, where actually they have their logo right at the bottom of the watch. But even on this, even though it is at sort of 12 o'clock, present and correct, where you would normally see the logos of manufacturers, I feel like it just blends in with it. It's all really quite consistent and complete. As I mentioned, this is full stainless steel and a 40mm case, and the height is 10.65 millimeters. Present and correct is the finishing you would expect from Sartory Billard in terms of alternate brushed, polished finishes. And what I particularly like about it is the way the side of the head of the case towards the bezel, down through to the lugs, slightly recessed with a third finish, which looks like it's been sandblasted. It's really very nice and adds that extra level of texture that you don't get with just satin and polished finishing alone. You've got the center links coupled with really quite a amenable bracelet. It's very nicely done. It's not the most flexible of all the sort of stainless steel sports watches out there, but nevertheless, you're going to feel secure with this piece. Flipping it over, you've got La Joux-Perret movement G100 with 68 hours power reserve, and a really nice unusual feature here, and that's a rotor in titanium that circles the circumference of the movement. As you'll no doubt know, most rotors do not take this format, and so it's very nice to see the brand utilizing it in this way, because of course it does allow for an extra viewpoint into that movement. And La Joux-Perret, I think, have created a name for themselves for creating movements of high quality, good finishing, and keeping price points at a point where a little bit more accessible, shall we say, than other brands are able to do. Let's throw it on the wrist and see how it wears. Well, instantaneously, of course, it's that dial, isn't it? You just can't get away from it. But again, 40mm in diameter, just 10.65mm in height, wears really well. I think actually, as the head of the watch, it feels a lot less. The design is quite deceptive. It feels less than a 40mm, I would suggest. You do have slightly overextended lugs, so all in all, this wears easily. It has great presence on the wrist. The finishing is good. The brush, the polished execution is excellent, and the more I look at it, the more I actually really appreciate the sort of sandblasting effect that you get on certain edges. It adds just that extra level of depth that you wouldn't get with just the, as I mentioned, the satin or polish finishing all on its own. So that's the SB07, 1 of 10, in this really rather striking, beautiful light blue color. It demarcates itself away from other Sartory Billards, but at the same time definitely incorporates their brand identity. I think they're doing fantastic things with color. It's always fun to have that, something different, doing them in limited runs whilst keeping them relatively, and use that term, as deliberately affordable. It means that honestly it's one of the brands that, in my view, to look out for, certainly in terms of new releases. Anyway, that's enough from me. That's the 1 of 10 SB07, in this really, really lovely baby blue, Tiffany blue color. I'd love to know what you think about this piece. And as I mentioned, that's enough from me. We'll see you next time.